renowned speaker, a futurist, and a digital guru. He goes by the name of Shingy, Mr. David Shing. Please come. And he's got the greatest hair I've ever seen in my life.
And so there's many things that we can discuss. We can go wherever you want. But this morning I want to kick it off in a way that I hope gives you a little bit more sort of inspiration of where we're headed. I love this quote by Marshall McLuhan. He's from the 1930s. He's a theorist from Canada. And what I love about this quote is there are no passengers on Spaceship Earth. We are all crew. And it means that shit's hard. Now, you guys have been around the block a few times. Don't worry about that so much. I'm going to send my decks to you anyway. So if you choose not to take notes this morning, I respect that. But you'll get the decks. But if you want to hang out on the interwebs, I'm easily found, and that's my code. But the thing I wanted to tell you is that none of you in this room, I assume, just entered the marketing world. And there are many audiences that I've spent a lot of time with who have. And they don't quite know where this industry is going, and it's up to you, each of you in this room, to be a steward of where this goes. Because if we don't adopt that stewardship, they're going to go around you and create those dynamics themselves. So I love that this network of independent agencies are all rooting for each other. That's quite rare. Because I spent a lot of time with holding companies, and I can tell you right now, they do not. They are savages, dude. And what's amazing about that is that there's a reason why some of you probably work with them and like, that's not for me. This independent, bespoke agility is what people aspire for, whether you're on this side or whether you're on the brand side. That's what people expect and they want. Quick introduction, if you didn't Google me, that's me. In 2001, I turned up on television in the US on a TV show called the MSNBC The Cycle. It's a very pedestrian American TV show, and the internet shat itself. Why? It's because I have big hair, I have nail polish, I had the title called The Digital Prophet, and at that time I worked for AOL and people's rods and cones just couldn't accept it. And so the trolls came out and tried to kill me. Has anybody in this room been trolled? It's a hell of a scene, man. Hell of a scene. And it's hard to come back from, but I decided to embrace the fun of it and took it all the way, dude. So now I get to be amazing magazines and stories written about me, and I get spoofed all the time, and I turn up in celebrity books, and I get to write about the fact that I think the internet is boring as shit right now. I talk about AI all the time. That's 10 years ago. And I also get called the one-man culture McKenzie by the head of brand at Bang & Olufsen in the Nordics, which I'm here for that, man. The most expensive audio gear in planet, and they call me the McKenzie cat. I'm here for that. Here's the other thing. I'm a meme, and I'm aware of that. This outfit that I'm wearing is actually designed by my daughter. And I'm very proud of that. So I live in a world of artists because my wife is an artist and I'm an artist, but I'm also, as I said, a walking, talking meme. There's a car designed for me. That's the murdered Shingy, if you guys want to roll around town in that bad boy. I'm in a kid's book. I get love notes. I get hate notes. I get people that want to dress up with me around Halloween. So if you guys need a Halloween costume, welcome to my world. I publish a book called Shinger. I do lots of outreach to schools, so people who, and particularly night schools, so people who are flipping burgers during the day and trying to figure out their life at night. I spend a lot of time with those people because bless them if they're going to spend that sort of architecture of their life. I also do meetups. That's me in Cannes just recently. Less hungover than I am now. That was day one. Yeah. I do a speaker series, which is kind of cool to hang out with interesting people. I got spoofed by Netflix, which is a totally different vibe for me, and on a TV show that was properly not our industry. And when Vanity Fair called me and said, Shingy being spoofed, I'm like, every day they're like, no, from real people. I'm like, oh shit, amazing. And I also turn up in galleries with some people you might recognize. So all of that is not a flex. Just to say, if you Google me, that's really who I am. But who you see today is the person that I give a shit about, is this, you. And why we're here is that I care about this cusp that we're about to tip your toe into. We're literally at the edge of understanding that the fourth industrial revolution is here. And you can choose wisely to participate or not. The first industrial revolution was steam, and then along came electricity, and now, of course, computing. The fourth industrial revolution that I've been talking about for 10 years is intelligence. And I'm talking about artificial and otherwise. And here's the reality. Let's just get this off our chest. If it can be automated, it will be automated. Period, full stop. If you're sitting here saying, yeah, my gig could be done, or a bunch of the gigs in our agency could be done by the machine's coming. So just move those people to do things that architect the human. Let's not just stay in that lane anymore. It's happened. And let me tell you my story as to why I can speak about that as a data point of one. Are you okay with my pace right now? Because I got a shit ton to talk about, guys. So I gotta run like you do. Anybody know what these are? There's a couple of people old enough in here to tell me an amen. Yeah, all right. Brother, what are they? What sort of markers are they? Pantone squeaky markers. That is the shit that we used to design with. Pantone squeaky markers, electrosets, bromides, bleed-proof paper. I ran around Sydney with a fishing tackle box full of this stuff. Right? Some of you remember those days? All of those industries, guess what? Gone. So when I studied design, people said to me, Shingy, design is dead, dude. You studied the wrong thing. I'm like, design is dead? What do you mean? Anybody in here believe that design is dead? No, but it was the catchphrase of my industry. And here's what happened. They said, this is the thing that's going to kill it. This 3-letter acronym was the AI of my moment. Anybody know what this is called? There we are. Desktop publishing. That bloody son of a bitch was the thing that was going to destroy our industry. And guess what? It took a dive. For a couple of years, we're all a bit lost. Like, oh no, what's happening? 16.7 million colors, 256 fonts. Everybody had an inkjet printer. Suddenly, everybody's a designer. I'm like, oh no, I'm done. They're like, no, learn that. I'm like, what's that? That's a computer, numbnut. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do on that? They said, learn this software. Oh, great. Oldest freehand. That's how I used to design stuff, man. Brutal. Brutal. I went from a fishing tackle box where I could do this to that pile of shit. And that's the high-res version. Wow. So from there, let's go back in time. Who in here had a flip phone? Oh, I had all those. What a flex. I had all those. Who bought a ringtone? There we go. What did you pay for the 16 ringtones that you had on your 19 phones? About $2? $3. $3, because, you know, she has taste. Who else bought a ringtone for about 99 cents? They're average. What did you buy? Yeah, you remember what you bought back in the day? You look like, you are definitely who lets the dogs out, dude, for real. But here's what happened. You think about that revolution that was happening at that time. By the way, the aspiration of a clamshell phone was really inspiring for us. But anybody guess what the size of that marketplace was in 2006? What the value of the ringtone marketplace was? It's huge. Thank you. Yes, it was. It was enormous. $6 billion. The iPhone came out in 2007. When was the last time somebody bought a ringtone in here? When was the last time somebody had their notifications on? There's got to be somebody who runs around with Android in this shit too, dude. I'm going to hear that a couple of times this morning, I'm sure. Volume up. But look, $6 billion. The next year, almost zero. The number one thing in our industry that's going to make this successful, and I get pitched every single day on new business ideas, this is the formula in every single deck that I see. Always, always, always. The number one thing is, obviously, timing. Not your team, by the way. Don't want to see pictures of your team. Couldn't give a shit about them. I care about your timing. And timing is the thing that's going to make it successful. Here's the thing that people do not get enough of, and you've got to beat your brands up about this. Category, culture. They're the two things that people want to talk about. Please spend time outside of the category that the brands that you represent play in, and spend time in the culture of that category. What do they listen to? What do they eat? What do they dress? What are the things that inspire them? What games are they playing? That stuff, if you join those two right in the middle, that's where disruption happens. And every single one of us is trying to understand what this disruption looks like. Because at the time, what has happened in this industry is we spent time just sitting in the category and we've forgotten about the culture. So the culture goes around you. Disruption looked like this. Remember when the iPod came out? We're like, oh, I have a Walkman. But we can't put 1,000 songs in it. You could have side A, side B of a cassette player. And this was really disruption at the time. And that has led to, clearly, all of this stuff going away and all being sucked into the one device. But not all disruption works. Anybody buy this back in the day? Was I the only one in the room? Apple Newton sold 200,000 units and at the time was deemed not a success. It's because the interface and the tactility of that technology was not good. The tactility and the interface of the iPod was. It only sold 150,000 units, by the way. But there was something about that that made it right at the perfect time, and the rest, as we say, is history. And so if we think about this, if you're wanting to sit here and say illumination equals disruption, yeah. Possibly, but if you're just talking about disruption now, guess what's happening? You're being disrupted. And when I say to people, what's happening when the disruption that you are thinking about, what's your discourse? They immediately say, well, we're in the brand experience, man. We've transcended this digital experience and we're now just about experiences generally. I'm like, well, that's interesting because I actually think what you're in is a transformation. Each one of us have a responsibility to help our businesses transform, not just your business, but the people you represent, the verticals that you work in, the categories that you play in. This is that transformation. We're at that point, man, where AI is absolutely transforming, but it's not new. I'm also very confused. There's that first notification. You hear that? Somebody's ding. God bless. It sounds like an Apple phone, not an... Yeah, it's Apple's. I'm a bit concerned every time I fire up a new app, every time I log into a site, how many of these twinkles do you see? You know what that immediately tells me? I'm being experimented on. These guys are trying to figure this shit out in real time, and guess what? The results are absolutely heinous today. Everybody's fast experimenting with the catchphrases of AI, and I want to talk about it a little bit. Doesn't it feel like everything is changing, yet nothing's changing? There's something very weird about this time. Anybody in here anybody buy a 3D TV back in the day? If we met, Andy, God bless, do you still have it? No, you kicked it to the curb after you watched 2 shows, you're like, this shit's not good. Yeah, Avatar, yeah. You could have gone to the IMAX and saved yourself a lot of money back in the day. But this was going to revolutionize the industry. Remember we talked about 3D TVs are coming, man, let's get on that. How do we make this dysmorphic experience look like spatial? Whoa, those discussions were nuts. Failed. Anybody buy a bunch of these? If you did, we can talk about that shit at drinks because, wow, not reading the tea leaves. But here's what's up. It felt like everything was going to change and nothing changed. So here's the deal. If you think about the searches just around AI in Google, it's enormous. There's 4.5 billion searches on AI. And then the second largest search is it useful? Like it's almost 2 billion searches just on, is AI useful? I find it ironic that people are using Google to search about AI and not using AI to search about AI. It's like the house of cards turned up. I don't know what happened. But here's what's really amazing. Is it useful? Yeah, incredibly. I have 45 different AI tools I've personally reviewed. I will share with you. You can share them with your team. And they're in verticals. So content, music, film. There are different verticals for these AI tools. I'm going to share them with you. You are not expected to read that. I'm here to tell you that there's about 50 things that AI is incredibly helpful for. But I will tell you, it's being normalized. It's in every single conversation. It's in every single track of your next week, right? And it's also, another assumption is it's computer hungry. So if you're sitting here saying the computer I bought to mint NFTs, I can repurpose to mint amazing AI stuff, If you look at NVIDIA and why it's so powerful as a company is because it's trying to get the computational power of grinding AI down. AI at the moment is absolutely unsustainable and it's also not good for the environment just because of the computational power. Also, don't let it be a distraction, please. Don't let AI be the distraction of the next couple of days. Let it be a solution and it needs to solve a problem. Too many of us sit here and go, oh, here's a tool that I like, here's a tool that I like, here's a tool that I like, and as I said, I can share a bunch of them with you. But the reality is, it's got to solve a problem first, otherwise the tool doesn't matter. It's like stuffing a young designer into the corner and saying, learn oldest freehand. We have to change our behaviors if we're going to radicalize this industry. If you're going to implement it, there's a very simple formula, and it looks a bit like this. Start out with the use case, understand whether you've got the skills, do you have enough data, then have you the technology in-house. Most importantly, all of this, by the way, if you don't have any of these, get them. And the last one is, what will it do to the culture of your organization? And I've seen companies start to crater because they've implemented all these AI efficiency tools and they've forgotten about the humans that work for them to understand how they feel about it. So ask, how is it going to affect the culture of your organization for the good and the bad, and just find out whether that delta is valuable. Okay, this is a brand. I want to do a quick test. Quick show of hands who thinks AI draw number 1. Who thinks it drew number 2? Number 3? Number 4? Number 5? Number 6? Okay, that's some of you participated, some didn't, thank you. Crocodile arms. Is it? No, it's not. And I'll just preface this by saying, some of these are designed by AI, very long articulated prompt. Some of these are designed by somebody on Fiverr for $200. Some of these was done by an independent iconography designer, which is incredibly expensive for me. And one of these was designed, well, by me. And thank God the client went with mine. But at the end of the day, number 5 was the one that we came up with. I did that from a rubber band. Number 4 was done by independent branding agency. I did this as an experiment. Number 3 was Fiverr. Then the first 2, AI. Somewhere in the middle there is the right. Somewhere it's weird. I spent almost more time on the prompt language, vernacular, and the 5 times it took to get those first 1 and 2 than I did on the actual brand that we went with. You with me here? AI can be a distraction. I'm telling you from a data point of 1. I'm not telling you because I'm here to pontificate. I'm telling you as a practitioner. And it burst my culture. But here's something I want to tell you. The evolution of AI you cannot control. It is happening outside these 4 walls and not too far away from here. This is the heart of the evolution of AI. And what's amazing though is that you can control the revolution of AI. That's our responsibility now. What do I mean? I'm not here to tell you about prompts, although I can show you some. AI is a great tool to tell you about prompts, by the way. Oh, it's amazing. The efficiencies that AI can give you around prompts is incredible. But there are things like this. I'm into AIs that can do mind reading now. They look at all the scour of somebody's personal data, which is what Apple's trying to look at. Look at your personal data, not the rest of the internet's data, but yours, and make it more efficiency. That will end up being mind reading AI. That's where it's headed, guys, not prompts. And is it new? Hell no, it's not new. Remember in '96, IBM beat the number 1 chess player in the world? That was '96. What have you been doing for the last 20 years? It's here, right here. The other thing we need to be aware of, there's no such thing called an adoption curve anymore. Done. It's an adoption rocket. Let me prove this to you with a chart you cannot read for a reason. All of this shit with adoption curves. It stopped in about 1960, okay? Since 1960, the advent of the color television, it's all been hockey sticks. So if you're sitting going, oh, I really can't catch up. We haven't been able to catch up for decades. That's just the new. There is no curves anymore, man. They're like that. They're rockets. But the power of this industry is founded upon 2 things, data and intelligence. Your intelligence. And that data we've been scouring for a long time. If we met about 15 years ago, this room would be discussing one thing. Big data. Remember that? Big data? We took that thing and set it out to pasture, thank God, because big data is absolutely useless unless you make little decisions with it. Like this. You guys remember this campaign? This is an example of a kid waking up in Piccadilly Circus on this billboard, walking to the edge of it and showing you where that plane's going to. This is 10 years old. That's data and intelligence in the wild, my friends. If that doesn't inspire, nothing will. Yet we sit here and say, isn't AI a bit like this? Can I have the volume up a little bit? Thanks, Carly.
Bring friends down to Pepperoni
More.
Hotspot. Our chefs make pizza with heart and special touch. Cheese, pepperoni, vegetable, and more secret things. Need delivery? Pizzas come fast. Knock knock, who's there? Pizza magic. Eat Pepperoni Hotspot pizza. Your tummy say thank you. Your mouth say, Pepperoni Hotspot. It's like family, but with more cheese.
This dystopian piece of AI rubbish, which we've all seen variations of this, haven't we, is 4 years old. We have come a long way. Look at this. I built this in 15 seconds. You've seen this meme? It took me 15 seconds to make a 30-second meme. And you've probably all seen this character walking around a stage. This happened to be my icon. It took me two seconds to upload the icon. It took the last 12 seconds of that to render this video. I feel like that guy today, by the way. I feel like a shadow of my former self. But memes are very, very easy to build with AI. So a lot of things that you'll see passed around in social will be memes that are very quick to build because they're little snacky pieces of content. A very good example of AI is something like this. This is an example of, this is the most famous actor in the world, and he did this commercial. But he did it once. They took his his voice, everything about his intuition, and they actually built thousands of hyper-local ads with this character in a geolocation targeted advertising campaign. Talk about utilization of talent. This is a very good use of AI. It's not dystopian, it's very practical. Nobody wants to sit there, particularly the talent, and do 1,000 takes to talk about these crazy little stores in India. It's a beautiful way to see where it could potentially go. A great classic example of using AI for efficiencies. I love the utilization of that because nobody wants to do that. What about the industry generally? Are jobs safe? Well, about 10% of the jobs may go away in 2030, they say, by these estimates. But the truth is this, they need to. I mean, all those people that did bromides and typesetting and Letraset, making Pantone squeaky markers and all the stuff that I grew up with, they should have gone away. Those jobs sucked. But those people went into amazing parts of their career, and that's where we're going to find now. So when I said things get automated, we will find another place for those people in the industry. We're not going to lose our jobs, they're tools. Well, let's talk about jobs though. Now, every single one of you are super happy in what you do, I'm sure. But are all your employees? I'm not sure. It turns out the vast majority of us hate work. Why? Because we spend 80% of your waking life is at work. 80%. You know what that translates to? 90,000 hours. So if you don't like your gig, man, you got to find another one. Because that's way too much time to spend our life at work. But here's a reality. There's something that has happened in the last 5 or 6 years, even before the pandemic, where we all got super fuzzy. We can't quite focus on the things we used to focus. Technology is part of it. Pandemic scare is another one. Media is another one. There's lots and lots and lots of reasons why we're fuzzy, and I don't believe we're changing. But I will tell you globally, we're more comfortable talking about mental health than ever before, which is ironic to me. I'm from Australia, like some of my brethren in here. Our idea of therapy makes me want to kind of throw up because we have a thing called a pub. And that's where we get our shit done, apparently. But there is this amazing thing. There's this thing about the personal care curve, and then there's also a belief. So every employee that you have to decide, particularly when they're young, and a lot of you have young people working for you, they have these belief curves now. And brands have to also stick in the belief curve, meaning there's a positive or a negative, or it's red or it's white, or it's black or it's green. They actually have to be an opinion. You can't just sit in the middle anymore. Remember that? So you're working for a brand, they have a bad news cycle, you just wait for the bad news to pass over and move on. You can't do that anymore. Brands have to have an opinion because people have an opinion and your employees have an opinion. But one thing that I can tell you, as much as we have this personal care curve, we also have a career curve. And look, I do a lot of presentations to brands, and this is what happens. I turn up to an all hands. The front row is all senior management. They sit up front, they laugh at all the jokes, they write down all the notes, they drink all the red wine, they eat all the cheese, all take care of it, right? Turn up early, God bless them. And then the ones that also turn up early, sit back row. They sit like this, can't make eye contact, didn't give a shit about you. So there, I believe, on the negative side. So you have the very positive and the very negative. The vast majority of everyone's organization has the people in the hump. And they want to be motivated to either join the group or leave the group. And that's your role. But these new, young people that we're all hiring are very different than the generation that we perhaps came through. And they have a lot and lots and lots of expectation that you're going to look after them and nurture them in ways that are very different, and they need lots of feedback. They're horrendous. But what's amazing about them, I believe they're part of a disconnected generation. Why? Look, man, when we were back in the day, hunters and gatherers, remember that shit? No, I don't, but apparently we were. We'd spend 15 hours a week hunting and gathering. Good times, man. Then along came the Industrial Revolution, and we now work, what, 40 hours a week. Anybody in here are lucky enough to spend 40 hours a week at work? That's it? Bloody hell, if you don't clock like 80 to 100 hours a week, you feel like you're losing, right? But we have all these efficiencies, all this technology, all this newness. All that shit's doing is making my bag heavier and bigger. It's weird, man. And here's what's amazing. Remember when we talked about this, the Great Resignation? If we met about 18 months ago, we'd all be fearful of this. How are we going to keep our talent? Everyone's leaving by choice. They're moving in the middle of the pandemic. They're changing jobs, careers, and ethos. It wasn't a resignation, it was a reevaluation. We just didn't read the tea leaves. We had an opportunity. With or without the pandemic, it was going to come. But now we got this, TWT. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's your work week. Have at it. And some of us are like, oh, we need people back for 5 days. Maybe we need 2 days. Maybe we're fully remote. We don't know where this is headed, but it's not headed back to where it was. So we need to change our behaviors. But I don't see many people changing and adapting. Let me ask you a question in this room. Where do your best ideas come from as a collective? You're like, oh God, Shing, you don't ask questions, dude. I thought you were just going to present. Sister. Free time. Anyone else? Conversation. Who said walking? Thank you. What else, brother? Collaboration. I'm here. Sleep. You're not going to get any of that. So, but yes, sir. In the shower. The client itself. Oh, bless. What else? Because I don't know about you, man. My briefs for the client suck. Yoga. I'm here for that. Socializing. Love that, Trey. Different experiences. Yeah, the number one, well, it's not in a sequence of number one, but they're like this. Shower, walking, taking the dog for a walk, playing with your kids, going for a drive, going for a run. When you're not thinking. But what do? We stuff people in a dark boardroom like this. Maybe your boardroom is not quite as grandiose as this is. And you're forcing people to try and come up with ideas. Chaos reigns in solitude. That's one thing we need to talk about, but I'll talk about another time. So if the best ideas come from that, they also come from this. Anybody meditate in here? Yeah, awesome. So this is your rate of, some of the rate of your brain waves. Delta is asleep, gamma is the heightened state of ecstasy. So your brain can get to all of these. So you can get to the heightened state of ecstasy by meditating, but you do not have to take ecstasy to get to gamma. Oh, fuck it, you're media, take ecstasy. But here's what's amazing. Just kidding, don't do drugs, kids. But here's what's up. The rate of your brain where you have the best ideas is right there in alpha. So let's play it back. We're in the office, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you have all the sugar you could possibly have, and you're starting to get drifty. And all you do is face forward, clicky-clack at the keyboard and pretend you're getting your shit done. You look over and you're like, why is Bill looking out the window? Shouldn't that little shit be taking care of something? Give them a break, dude, because they're probably cracking open some ideas for you. So leave them alone. Change our culture. Who has kids in here? Ooh, room full of breeders. I'm here for you. Here's what's up. The percentage of children under the age of 5 that have an IQ of a genius is absolutely off the charts. We are born geniuses, brothers and sisters. There is something about us when we get to adults, maybe it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll, we become dumb. So we have to be childlike in the way that we think about that. And I would do another session with you another time for that. IBM did a survey of all their managing directors and said, what will keep us in the volatility of AI at the forefront of the culture where we need to be? And resoundingly, it was creativity. I don't know how come integrity got up so high. I guess it's because it's IBM, bless. But we don't invest enough in it. And so to make people happy in the workplace, there are 2 things universally. What would they be, do you think, guys? Brother? Purpose. Purpose, I like that. Anyone else? Connection. Who said that? Oh, connection. Thank you, brother. What else? Success. That was the loudest response we've had so far. Yeah, I love that. What else? Inspiration. Love that. Not working, yeah. Flexibility. Ooh, love that. Check it out. Contribution. So your groups of people that you have in your tribe want contribution and recognition. Guess what's low on that totem pole? Money. Money is an outcome, remarkably. There's a there's one more in there, it's authenticity. That's new in the last couple of years. But the gig, my friends, was to get people to our brands and brands to our people. Yes? Yes, incredibly difficult now. Why? Well, if you look at us, all of us are targeted somewhere on this curve, according to Harvard. We're makers, achievers, believers, strivers, etc. This is psychographic targeting, according to Harvard University. God bless. The reality, though, is that most of us run persona data. True? There's a ton of you in this room that do persona data modeling. I ran 13 countries in media and marketing for AOL. That's how I covered my ass. I'm saying, show me the persona runs. Let's find out what our audiences care about. Blah, blah, blah. I actually think it's rubbish. Why? It looks a bit like this. Male, born in 1948, raised in the UK, married twice, lives in a castle, famous, wealthy. Great. Could be this guy. Or it could be this cat. They're radically different. So I implore you to think about when the brands you're working for, stress test them on archetypes. Not their brand, we've got those archetypes. Sage and all that sort of shit. I'm talking about the archetype of the constituent of the audience that they're looking for. It's not a demographic. It's not. Okay. Omnichannel. Do we use this term? Also rubbish. Stop. It's not omnichannel, it's ecosystem. Your needs and desires at 8 o'clock in the morning are very, very different at 8 o'clock at night. It's not an omnichannel solution that's always on, which by the way doesn't mean it's on. By default, it's an ecosystem. And if your brand has permission to participate in that person's needs and desires throughout the day, awesome. Then we need to uncrack that. So ecosystem versus omnichannel. And also when we think about it, the job now is a 360-degree view. Quite a lot harder, didn't it? Because before we're like, oh, we do direct mail. Oh, wow, we just do these TV ads. Or wow, we just do newspaper. Or now we just have a social experience. No, you have to actually understand everybody's desire in a category, in the culture. Things got hard. And then people want to harass me late night for this. So guys, if we're stuck on a boat tonight with you, it is not to corner me about this shit. But you can. I'll talk to you about it. AR, VR, MR, RR, adjacency schemas, privacy, security, blockchain, all the shit you might want to care about is not why I got in this industry. I got in this industry for one thing, and that was fun. And fun got sucked out of it a long time ago. Somewhere along the way, we now express ourselves just through this world of emojis, which go up and down through my own ecosystem. Who uses emojis here in this world? It turns out that 80% of people don't understand emojis when you respond with emojis. Did you know that? You know why? Why I use emojis? Because my auto text, honestly, my Siri cannot figure out who the hell I'm talking to or the language I speak. And after time when I send a text now and it's got all that gobbledygook, I don't correct it anymore. I'm like, it's on you to figure it out, dude. At least I responded. But when it comes to emojis, this is my day. It feels a bit like this. I feel like Winky Eye right now. Then I turn into this guy, and then I turn into this guy, and this guy, and this guy. By the afternoon for sure. But there's something about this world that's a bit weird. We've lost the fundamentals of what? Trust. And that's weird. I've rarely come into a room where each one of you, it feels like, really do give a shit about the other person, even if you don't know them yet. There is a lovely connection in this network, this tribe. You guys seem to want to connect with each other, which is really unique. Most people are savages. And trust is weird though, because you don't trust me, I don't trust you, I don't trust media, I don't trust the internet, I don't trust the government, I don't trust people. There's lots to not trust. But it's the cornerstone of our industry. But technology is trying to change our behaviors, and it has. But it won't change our needs. Our needs are rooted in our DNA. And as the connected humans that we are, we're no longer like this. If we met in about 2014, that would have been me 10 years ago. Hyper-connected dude. Collecting a whole bunch of data on himself that he did not know what to do with. And so I'm kind of the opposite of that now. But I will tell you there's a couple of trends you need to watch. One is nostalgia. Anybody have an LP player in here? Record player? Yeah? When was the last time you bought an LP, brother?
3 weeks ago.
And how much did you pay for it?
Not too much.
How much was that, Brendan?
Well, it was a double. It is a pre-order.
There's a disclaimer.
Yeah.
A double pre-order, limited edition red vinyl.
Live album, Billy Strings, $50.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
And it's also not a therapy session, but thank you for that. You do not have to justify your success, my friend. So the average cost of an LP is about $30, which hasn't changed since ever. That industry is worth almost $2 billion. And if you ask kids, if this was a room full of kids, they would be saying they also have LP players. What about analog cameras? Does anybody have one in here? Yeah, so the hip kid, you feel me? Bold enough to wear braces. Oh, he's got it in his hand right now. If we wander around San Francisco, we'd see a bunch of hipster doofuses with these cameras, man. And what's amazing about this industry is worth almost $4 billion. It's incredible. There's something about the comfort of analog. The number one trending app from TikTok of last year, before Apple shut it down, was this. It's an app that turns your iPhone into an iPod. I cannot make this shit up. It's amazing. It's so ironic, isn't it? But what we're looking for as humans is joy in the little things. That's the job, period, full stop. It doesn't matter the category. We're all looking just for better joy in our lives. And is Internet of Things going to be part of that? So let me give you a quick tech update on this. So IoE is a big category, the Internet of Everything. There's 127 products launched per second. And it's incredible because they look like humanized technology. This is a teddy bear called the Guardian. A sick kid can hold this. It reads its biometric and tell you how sick it is before you rush it to hospital. That's connected AI. Little buttons out of the Nordics that cost $30 that you don't need a phone to be connected to can be automated to do things like blinds, closing, favorite playlist comes on, dimming your lights, closing garage doors. All can be done with one click of a button. $30. You've got a toothbrush now that's driven by AI that brushes all your teeth all at the same time. Because apparently we've been wasting about 3.5 minutes of our day, so there's that. MIT, they're working on RFID chippable tattoos. Temporary. So this can be on your body for 2 weeks. You can do on your body what you'd normally need a computer and a screen to do. Pretty remarkable. Then you've got something like this. These are by Bose. Some of you may have these, soundbar sunglasses. Anybody have these? They sound amazing. You don't have to put headphones in. They bounces off your jawline. They've got these incredible sound dynamics in the arms of your sunglasses. And as you're walking downtown, the idea of this, when they were looking to experiment in 2019, was to launch this AR, I called it augmented awareness. I'm walking downtown, it whispers to me to turn left, and that's where I'm looking for the discounted Levi jeans. All of this is a great utopian idea. Challenge was, people give a shit about their data, who knew? Second is, I don't know if I need another voice in my head, dude, because I got a lot already. I don't know if I got room for both. But that was the idea of it. And then we've got smart speakers. So all of us probably have one of these. This is a $40 billion category. So I'm telling you all of this to say that there's an incredible amount of value that can happen around this. Brand sound, by the way, is one of the best kept secrets on planet Earth. Whose brand is this? Carly, can I make sure I've got some audio is pretty hot on this? Because I don't know how loud it is. Maybe it's my laptop's down, but hang on. Whose brand is that? Intel. Took you 2 seconds to tell me that. Because he's facing a Windows laptop too. That's probably why. Just kidding, brother. But here's what's up. Intel. By the way, they tried to change that Sonic brand. Nobody could recognize it. They went back to the old one. Nostalgia. There's something very powerful. If you're working for brands that actually have things like jingles, and there's so much you can go through the history of brand and actually emphasize something completely different. Amazing. Wearables. So people love to get an update on wearables. There's 600 of them. And the number one category is fitness. And they look like this. They look like supercomputers masked as retro technology. Isn't it amazing? And a bunch of us probably have them on now. Does anybody have a wearable on? A bunch of you? Who has one at home they don't have on right now? So more hands typically go up because it does what your phone does and we don't necessarily need to wear it. Those who actually really want to wear it are typically fitness freaks. They use Polar and Garmin. And if they leave that at home, they panic because they're doing math. The rest of us are like, whatever, dude. Doesn't really matter. Does the same thing my phone does, except for things like this. This is the Dot. This is an incredible watch. It's a Braille watch. It helps people who are sight impaired navigate streets, which is pretty dope. This is the Pavlov. This is a shockable wearable. I love this idea. This is generation 3. This thing will just shock you if you do something you said you're not going to do. So if you reach for that third beer tonight, it just gives you the shit. Pretty amazing. A lot of women don't wear wearables because it doesn't fit their vibe. So this is a e-ink notification ring where you can isolate the color. So I could change the color of this ring based on, say, my lipstick, which is pretty amazing. This is the creepiest thing I've seen for a very long time. This is called the Gaze. This is a 3D dress that will morph and change based on your biometric. So it tries to determine whether you're attracting or distracting the person in front of you, and it grows accordingly. It has hidden cameras. Isn't that crazy? Woohoo! I live in New York. I could use that thing, man. The subway is no joke. All right. If we met last year or so, the only thing you'd want to talk about is that. How come the metaverse isn't on the agenda anymore? Wow. We screwed up, didn't we? And it's not the metaverse, man. Just call it immersive technologies. And it's not new. It's been here for forever. Remember blockchain? 91. A long time ago. Roblox, 2004. Bitcoin, 2009. NFTs in 14. The only thing that's relatively new is Fortnite, 2019. That really is a metaverse, by the way, is Fortnite. When people say, what about the metaverse? Go, yeah, I already play games. And there are a lot of them. Anybody in here play Fortnite? Do we have any gamers? So there are, thank you, the kid. So here's what's up. If you don't play Fortnite, it looks like this. This is Ariana Grande launching a song in the metaverse, or better known as Fortnite. And of course, artists love this. Why? They don't have to travel to 100 countries to do a drop. They can do it simultaneously from their apartments. Does it look dystopian? Yeah. So we obfuscate it and make it look like futuristic technologies, where it's an integrated brand experience in a gaming community. Now, why is gaming important? If you represent brands that want to know about where the future is with people that game, it's gaming, like Fortnite. There are 3 billion simultaneous players per week. There are only 5.5 billion televisions worldwide. So it's about half the size already. If you really want to go to crazy, metaverse, it looks like 1999. That's Decentraland. If you want to hang out with Shing in Decentraland, that's me. I mean, look how old school that looks. If you're building AR experiences, please make them amazing. Look at this, Walmart. This is a ding on them, sure. They built this AR experience in the metaverse that allows me to go shopping. How rubbish does that look? Don't make something look worse than the real experience. I don't want to buy wine. I want to drink it immediately, not wait for it to come in 3 hours if I could barely touch it with a weird-looking glove. Ugh. Dumb. Build better experiences, because this virtual reality space could take off. But I much rather see you wearing the goggles today than the content in it. You want to have some fun at lunch? Wander down to Apple and watch people with Vision Pro on. Good Lord, it's a comedy hour, man. Grab some popcorn and sit down and watch that thing. And it's incredible because if you think about it, the idea of that connected technology is very important because there's interlaced technology inside the goggles that can now read your emotions. So if you are watching content and I laugh and you cry, we could pivot, completely get a different experience, but it's very expensive to build that, and one, it's not shareable. So your CFO is going to say no to that straight up. So let's just think about better experiences. VR, however, is alive and well in Asia. So if you decide to head to Asia to check out these experiences, you can go to this cafe in Tokyo and you can go and have a schoolgirl feed you candy if that's your bent. I mean, humans, man, we are scumbags. But anyhow, whatever, dude, we're here. So here's an example of a $30 product that comes from China. It is a magic mirror that brings the physical and digital world together in an experience that costs $30, aimed entirely at children. So instead of having an $800 smart device in their hands, they now have this sort of technology, which is amazing. But truthfully, all of this stuff, if you've got clients that are thinking, where is the future headed? Don't think that it's a destination. Don't wait for somebody to say, we need to have all these headsets in people's hands. It's already here. We have 3.5 billion simultaneous gamers per week, and it's already a mindset. So don't think it's a destination, change your mindset. It's already here. What else is happening though? In the living room, the trend of living rooms is going the opposite. Technology is coming down. So things are obfuscated. That's a very expensive television from Bang & Olufsen. This is a $1,500 television from Samsung. Anybody have the frame? The latest version can control things like lighting conditions. And it knows that when you turn off Hulu or Netflix and you put a piece of artwork on, it dims down. That's AI in the wild, my friends. That's ooh and ah to me. That's genius for $1,500. I went to the launch of this. This is a rollable TV. This TV literally rolls out of a console when I want to watch it. And I press the button and it rolls back when I don't. It's bendable LEDs. How amazing is this? I went to the launch and they said, any questions? I'm like, yeah. They're like, what is it, Shingy? How many times will this open and close before it breaks? They said 55,000 times, I think. And I said, why develop a television that rolls in and out? I think because LG thought that everybody has views like that. Yeah, whatever, LG. We don't all live in the Fairmont. Okay. Robots. You can readily, availably buy robots today. A lot of us in this room do not have them. We get confused that they're vacuum cleaners. But in Poland, this is an example of an AI-driven robotic humanoid CEO. This is for real. This is not a spoof. This is a piece of experimental technology. Two things I advise though. If you're actually going to build a humanoid, please make the person look a little bit more interesting than this person and maybe put some chapstick on her lips. Secondly, notice how everybody in that room is ignoring the robot just like they do the real CEO. Humans, man. The robots still feel a bit like this though, don't they? Robots are great, man, until you put dogs and cats in front of them. And the whole thing goes pear-shaped. Except for cats, they know what's up. All right. The ecosystem. Yes, we have this brand ecosystem we have to get better at. We also have to understand there's an ecosystem of technology powered by AI that is trying to take our attention. Stay with me. There's this amazing refrigerators built by LG, Whirlpool, Samsung that have LED on the outside. So you can change it to look like Mondrian. But on the inside, they have all these cameras that do an audit of all your groceries and they go and automatically order the things that is frequently used. You all have access to those today. They're very smart refrigerators. But where it's headed is to places like this. This is a service called Yumly that just got bought by Whirlpool. Yumly is a site you go to and say, here are some ingredients, give me some recipes. It's now connected to the refrigerator of Whirlpool. It audits your refrigerator contents. It will then make these recipe recommendations for you. And then it'll send the food that you just cooked, because the range hood in your kitchen takes photographs of the food you just did, and it sends it to your wearable to determine your calorie count and fitness goals, and will recommend all these recipes. That is where this ecosystem's headed. It is trying to bypass every single piece of intuition that we have. But the reality looks like this. I love this piece of technology. It's a blank of wood. It acts like wood, it feels like good, it smells like wood because it's wood. And it has this graphical user interface when I want it, and then it goes away when I don't. It's pretty amazing. But everything that I just showed you has built-in intelligence. So look, so what? We're all marketers in this room. Who cares? Well, let me give you a couple of minutes on this. We were told it was about cinema, and then it was television, and then it was going to be all about smartphones, and then maybe it's about wearables, and then invisible perhaps, because it's smart speakers. So good luck. Just kidding. Here's the good news. Don't worry about the 4 Ps. This shit was invented in 1948, completely irrelevant. And I think it's been updated though, to platforms, pedigree, partnerships, and performance. Totally different vernacular. And this new modern paradigm has changed. When I was a kid, I worried about 7 or 8 places where my media had to be placed. The CMOs that you work for today, guys, there's about 1,000 places where they're trying to build advocacy. And they're not doing a very, very good job of it because it's so overwhelming. And the reality is this. If you think about the 3 elements of our industry, it's sight and sound and motion. To do what? Drive emotion. Why? 75% of purchase decisions today are made emotionally. We sell to the heart, we justify to the head, don't we? $50 album. Great example of that was emotional intelligence in the wild. I'm from Oz, as you guys can tell, and that's the town I grew up in. That's the house I grew up in. This is my family and 1 of 10 kids. 12 people, 2-bedroom house, shit ton of therapy that I'm still trying to work through, but we'll get there. But I can tell you that Chinese Catholics, we are unstoppable. But here's the reality. At 17 was when I bought my first car. I'm of the generation, freedom, independence, and self-expression came when I bought a car. Remember those days? Today, kids are born connected though, aren't they? 37% of children under the age of 2 operate a swiping device better than their parent. This genie is not going back in the bottle. The average age of kids in the US to get a cell phone tethered to their parents' account is 7. It's disgusting. But analog, they just think it's busted. Bless. But here's what's amazing though. Generation Alpha you need to spend more time with, not Generation Gen Z. They're different. Alpha is different. They're part of the great screen age. There's 2.8 million of them born per week. And they want to be called founders, by the way. And how disgusting is that? The eldest in the generation of Alpha is 13. So anybody born today is all part of this character. What are their characters? They love the great screen age. They're Earth first, truly Earth first, not Gen Z. They talk about it. They're a bit too precious for Earth. Ugh. They care about the carbon footprint. Does anybody have a 13-year-old kid in here? Just keep me honest on this. They care about sustainable things. They also care about things being authentic. I've just given you about 8 different values. Can anybody name a brand that has those in their DNA? What's up? Patagonia. Where do you live, brother? Turkey. Amazing. I love Turkey, by the way. Istanbul is one of my favourite places. Patagonia. Wow. Here's the deal about that, though. 2 things. One, they need a better creative director because their shit looks bad. Secondly, the fintech boy's got to lay off it because otherwise it's making it more uncool. But their values are amazing. Guess what they do? They wear them on their sleeve. This is a brand that lives its values. And one of them that I love, they advertise things they care about. They don't advertise their product. They have this Tyvek outdoor wild posters that they encourage you to cut up, patch your jeans or whatever, and when you need to get rid of the products, we'll upcycle them for you. So they're really talking about sustainability because they understand it's not about consumers consuming content. That's it, period, full stop, old school. We've got a new type of person we're targeting, guys, and it's a creator, a critic, and a curator of experiences. They're a slash generation. And it's not just kids. I know people in their 80s that act like these. It's amazing. It's an archetype, like this. It's an archetype. The difference between kids and older people that act like this, big fonts. And they text like that. Weird. Old people. Amazing. And then this is a thing. This is the 2nd tallest building in Hong Kong. So extreme selfies are still a thing. People are trying to be extreme versions of themselves. And it's not extreme selfie, it's extreme self. They're trying to be extreme versions of themselves because they're allowed to. And guess what? They love in-life experiences, real life experiences. They're not just all part of this digital community. They love it. And they love being part of a visceral community of connection, which seems very old to me because their life is completely imperfect. And what does that mean? It means this world that they're part of is not necessarily the world they want. The average number of times you play around with your phone per day is 1,000. That's a lot. That's a lot of attention going in the wrong direction potentially because you're doing this. Yes, this is the worst stock photography on planet Earth, but it's an example of phubbing. The moment you pick up your phone in a conversation, we feel disconnected by that when we thought we're having that intimate moment. And it's universally here. It's common about all of us. And the world is overwhelming. You're hit with 1,500 media messages per day. I've already given you 1,000 of them, by the way, so the quote is high today. And then it's also underwhelming because you can't find what you're looking for. Every single platform is experimenting with AI on you in real time. And where that becomes amazing is that one of the largest contributors to stress today is media overload. So the things you're producing on behalf of the brands that you represent are stressing people out and killing them. Just kidding. Ish. So don't call it the attention economy. Also old school. It's the intention. The moment you pick this up and unlock that phone, you intend to do something different. It's no longer passive. We're in an active world. And the open social network you've been buying for 10 years is shutting itself down. So let me prove it to you. Who's on Instagram in here? Some of us? Whose Instagram is private? Half of us. So here's what's up. If I do that for high school kids, 100% of the hands go up for Instagram, Snap, TikTok, Discord. If I ask them about privacy, about 100% of those hands stay up. So TikTok is not a social network, it's an entertainment platform, just like YouTube is. We'll never have a password on it. But all those other things have a password for a reason. And that reason is this. Intimacy happens when you have permission to have a one-to-one intimate dialogue with somebody. That is the most powerful tool of our industry. I have very few friends. When I see that pop up, I get very excited. And then it suddenly goes away. What happens? Who knows? Ghosting. This is the big problem in our industry. Ad blocking, nobody's talking about it. I was sitting on all these panels at Cannes, people are like AI. I'm like, who has an ad blocker? And all these hands go, anybody have an ad blocker in here? My God, and you're in the industry. You run fancy companies. When I do that for high school kids, almost 100% of the hands go up. There's a billion ad blockers out there, man. And we're just still trying to do display ads. The niche is the new mass. Tribes of people that are clustering together that aren't generic, that are very specific about their things, is where it's all happening. And they love it. Friends over ads, super high. Peer-to-peer reviews, super high. Word of mouth, super high. What's not super high is click-through rate. Why? Frequency cap. Why? Cookies go away. Wow, we've done that in Europe for years, by the way, got rid of cookies. And my industry, my career was funded upon big ads, little content. Remember those days? Now it's all about content, isn't it? Every discussion you have with a brand is content. And what's amazing about that, it was $16 billion in 2022. It's estimated to be $500 billion by 2026. 2 years, from 2 years' time. That is, the entire global marketing budget is $1 trillion. Half of it is applied to content marketing. So content is not queen, my friends. Context is. Build good content, put it in smart places. Easy for me to say, hard to do. But your job is to inspire, it's to educate, and it's to entertain. But it's really hard because everything is now an ad. Let me show you what I mean. What can we do that's better than the machine? How can you move this human evolution forward? Well, I have some ideas, and that is to make sure that we create culture. Not just reflect it, but now create it. There's a responsibility for brands to create culture. Patagonia has that in droves. There is only 3 ways you can do that. If it's unique, are you authentic to your brand, and is it a solution that solves a problem? You have permission to do that. And so what does that mean? Here are some things that work. Craft. So these are toothpicks. You ever noticed the little tiny barbell at the end of your toothpick? The toothpick was invented by the Japanese, man. So if you take that toothpick, you break it off, it's a rest for your toothpick. They have a rest for their chopstick, rest for their bowl, rest for your napkin. It's very well thought out design. Design matters. Look, stunning simplicity. Design matters. All right, the beat goes on. But hey, let me pause there. Who in this room have heard of liquid death? Oh my God. Who's tried it? That's a big room, by the way. Their market share is 1%. They are not a top 10 brand in the world. You do not need to be a top 10 brand in the world to have that sort of market share. Mind share equals market share, not spend anymore. It's incredible. Incredible. IKEA, check this out. This is a great example of innovation. This is a magazine ad. They said, if you're pregnant, pee on this page, and if you are positively pregnant, it'll reveal a highly discounted price for that crib. So some are going to love that, some are going to be completely disgusted by it, but that's innovation in the wild, my friends. This is Lacoste. They did a limited edition range of t-shirts of endangered species. They replaced the crocodile. This t-shirt range sold out in 24 hours. You can only buy those t-shirts on the black market, which is today where you can buy the animals because humans suck. But the reality also is that, you know, there are brands that live their values. Coca-Cola in Vietnam, they decided too much plastic are ending up in the waterways. They changed the bottle tops to be useful. Pencil sharpener, bubble blower, water pistol. So they're taking trash and making it a utility play, which is amazing. Realness matters. So I'm going to show you something that's pretty salty. This is a young lady on TikTok who's a bodybuilder, but she helps women, gives advice to how to shave their lady bits. And she reviews all of these shave creams independent of them. And this brand realized how incredible, powerful that explanation was, and they did a limited edition range of series.
And the back is even better. The instructions, they directly quoted. That's my instructions. Oh my God. I have never tried any of this shit.
And this is just user-generated content by some kids. And they did this limited edition range. They had 3,000% drive traffic to their website, crashed it. They went from nowhere to be the #1 shave cream in Target, both men and women. And the shave cream is called shave cream, by the way. It's not salty like this is. So reflecting back the cultural change in marketing to the people you're marketing to, that's cultural disruption. And it's very, very powerful. It works. Inventiveness is important. Let me tell you, we are living in a world of homogenization. Every single car kind of looks the same, except for the Cybertruck, if you want to be that guy. But what's amazing otherwise, it's really kind of wild. Now, I'm not a Tesla driver. I just don't think they look very interesting. They drive beautifully. But I don't care about them being electric or not. What I care about, what I think is the coolest thing about Tesla, is the insane mode. Who's a Tesla driver in here? Insane mode's nuts, right? And when you get your friends in the car and say you want to check out insane mode, they lose their shit, don't they? Like this. This is the coolest thing ever.
So I put it in sport insane mode.
That's what happens. The fact that they're in the EV category, nobody cares because it's homogenized. But insane mode? Dude, man, that brand is all in for me.
That's awesome.
I'm really mad that the option is insane. Like, it's not like just...
What? Isn't that good?
That's a random, like... What's the feature?
The car is insane. Like, everyone thinks the car is insane, so why not have, you know, like an insane mode, right?
It makes sense.
So you just come to like a complete stop,
All right.
and then before you know it, you just
Oh, shit! What?
Right? It's nuts. The average age of people that work at McDonald's is about 20 years old. People don't want to work there. Why? Their uniforms suck. So they got a designer from the Nordics to come up with incredible uniforms, and now people are gagging for it in the Nordics. It's pretty amazing, man, when you invent stuff. Richard Branson's brief, and those of you who flew into London know about this, the brief for the lounge is create an experience that makes people want to miss their plane. And I've done that because it's amazing there to get a haircut and a shave. It's nuts what can happen when we think about inventing stuff. In Paris, this company said, I think the number of people that come through turnstiles, we can create enough turbulence to be able to power from people the subway system in France. And it's proven to be true. We're transcending advertising. We're moving into a different world of connection. Perception matters. Does anybody know this brand? Where do you think it's from? Yeah. It's from the Midlands in the UK. A bunch of little stonky white dudes created that brand. I'm kind of busted over that too, man. Little shit. What brand is that? Harley Davidson. My perception is this. Yours? Reality is this. But perception is everything with a brand, man. So where's the heat as we wrap this up? We know there's only 3 things you have access to. It's story. God bless it. We love it. But everything I see out there is still performance-based. Buy one, get one free. Try this thing for 99 days. Send it back if you don't like it. The reality is every single brand has an opportunity in the Digiverse to play in the feel space. Sensorial. We know immediately when we get in a car, if we all jump in, the doors, chunk, the smell, the sensorial, we know whether it's luxury or economy within milliseconds. True or false? True. Amen. But the reality is, don't make people want stuff. That was our industry before, dude. We have to make stuff that people want. The number one ingredient in every single experience that you build on planet Earth is surprise. If you don't build anything that has surprise in it, don't bother, in my humble opinion. But look, my last thing I want to leave you with is this quote by Katharine Hepburn. If you obey all the rules, you miss all the goddamn fun. And isn't that the reason we became creatives? Thanks very much indeed, guys. Take care. God bless.